Thinking about moving to Oklahoma City? Maybe Dallas is calling your name, or maybe Tulsa is pulling at your heartstrings. Believe it or not, these three cities are often on people's relocation shortlist when moving to this part of the country. But honestly, they can offer some pretty different experiences depending on your lifestyle, budget, and your vibe. So as you're doing your research, there's tons of YouTubers out there hyping up their own cities, and I'm guilty of that, but how do you cut through the noise? Well, in this video, I'm gonna do my best to try to give an honest head-to-head between these three cities, looking from top to bottom. And while you might think there's a lot of similarities, you might be surprised at some of the differences. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Jonathan Knight, and on this channel, we talk about all things Oklahoma City and all of the surrounding suburbs. So that's right, today we're stacking OKC up against our two closest major cities in Tulsa and Dallas. And I think this one's gonna help make sense of the real pros and the cons of each city, as well as some of the things that make each city unique. And hopefully in a more helpful way than you'll find in those blogs that you find on U-Haul's website. But first, before we do get into that, if you're thinking of moving to the Oklahoma City area, whether it's in the next few weeks or few months from now, I would love the opportunity to help make a smooth move right here to OKC. So you're gonna find my contact information right down in the description below, so please feel free to shoot me a call, a text, or an email, or even better, click the link below to schedule a one-on-one video call with me, or you can simply scan the QR code on the screen so that we can discuss how I can hopefully help you buy that perfect home right here in OKC. So let's just get it out of the way, what everyone wants to Google first. Home prices. Oklahoma City's median home price in 2025 is right around $270,000, which is truly right around where it is in Tulsa, with a median price of around $270,000. Meanwhile, in Dallas, and look, probably nobody's surprised that it's more expensive in Dallas, but currently the median home price is right around $425,000 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if you compare what you get here in OKC around that price, it's gonna seem like a pretty basic home in Dallas. No disrespect. So if home price affordability is one of your top priorities, I mean, truthfully, Oklahoma City and Tulsa are gonna smoke Dallas. There's just no question about it. You're gonna get a ton more house for your money here. Now, sure, it's worth noting that Texas doesn't have a state income tax, but they more than make up for it with the increased cost that you're gonna pay in property taxes. And in Dallas, in some counties, those property taxes can easily get into the high 2%. Now, by comparison, in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, your property taxes are going to range somewhere in the 1.25% once you combine the city, state, and the county taxes. That will vary a little on one side or the other on 1.25%, but that's a pretty good ballpark. So even if you weren't already paying more for your home in Dallas, you're definitely going to have a higher mortgage payment from the property taxes alone. As far as overall cost of living, I've seen some numbers that indicate that Dallas is about 18 to 20% more overall cost of living than Oklahoma City or Tulsa. With Tulsa, you'll find some areas that are slightly cheaper than Oklahoma City, but at the same time, you'll find a couple areas that are a little bit less expensive in Oklahoma City versus Tulsa, so it kind of evens out. But again, living in Dallas is kind of like living in a totally different economic bracket. But again, to be fair, as I said, props do go to Dallas for being in the state of Texas with no income tax. So you'll kind of need to do a little bit of a breakdown mathematically to see if you come out on top when it comes to what you save in income taxes versus what you're paying more in property taxes if you decide to live in Texas. By the way, if you're still trying to learn all the ins and outs of Oklahoma City as you're considering a move here, I've put together a really in-depth relocation guide, and I'd love to give it to you for free. So if you're wanting to dive deep in the different areas, the different suburbs, the cost of living, and much more, you're going to want a copy of this. Again, absolutely free. Just put Move OKC in the comments, and I'm going to send it right over to you. Now, let's talk size when it comes to population and population density. Dallas and Fort Worth combined, along with Frisco and several other surrounding suburbs, make up a metro of almost 8 million people. Like, damn, how do y'all even breathe down there? Oklahoma City's metro? I mean, we've got 1.4 million throughout the entire metro, and growing up here my whole life, that seems like a lot. So when I go to cities like Dallas, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Now, Tulsa, on the other hand, throughout their entire metro has right around 1 million. But here's what's kind of interesting, and I mentioned this a lot. Oklahoma City has a giant landmass, making it one of the largest cities by area in the United States. So even though OKC has more people here versus Tulsa, we actually have a lower population density. And for that reason, by comparison, it definitely feels a little less crowded here. Now, Dallas has both size and density, so if that's the type of city you want to live in, Dallas is going to win out every time. And that often means access to more amenities, but there is a trade-off there. It also means more traffic, more noise, and more headaches. The median household income in these cities is honestly fairly close, especially considering the difference in cost of living between these two states. In Oklahoma City, right now, the median household income is right around $66,000. In Dallas, the median household income is right at $70,000, which, yeah, it is higher than OKC, but not by enough, it feels like, to really make up for the difference in cost. And then Tulsa comes in a little bit lower than both at $58,000 for their median household income. And that's when I say, honestly, when you factor in how far that money actually goes, it feels feels like Oklahoma City is punching way above its weight. Now, I'm sure in Dallas there are some select industries that offer higher salaries than OKC, but you're definitely going to be burning more money just to live there, so you'll have to weigh out how much your salary pays if it's worth the trade-off. And the unemployment rate across these three cities is honestly pretty solid. I think OKC has the slight edge. We're coming in around 4% or less over the last few years. Now, this one's harder to quantify, but to some, maybe the most important, and that's the vibe check. Dallas definitely has big city energy. Glitz, high rises, pro sports, big highways, very little chill. I've always thought of Tulsa kind of like the artistic little brother. They've got little indie shops, killer music scene. They've got a place called The Gathering, which is an amazing park. And much like Oklahoma City, kind of has a slower pace with big city amenities. I'd like to think of Oklahoma City as somewhere kind of in between those cities. It definitely increasingly has the infrastructure of a major city, but still kind of has that small town vibe. It feels definitely modern, but you know, at least for now, without the ego. Definitely big enough to have cool things like Thunder basketball. Speaking of, how about the Thunder this year? I hope that by the time this video goes up, we've got some good news. Anyway, big enough to have cool stuff, but still small enough to not feel like a tiny little speck in the crowd. And I will say, when compared to Tulsa, OKC is definitely competing when it comes to artistic and music scene. All right, let's talk about getting outdoors and parks. Tulsa gets some major props here. They've got the river parks, and like I mentioned, the Gathering place. They've got Turkey Mountain. And with all of those things, you get some legit nature in the city moments, and somewhere around 135 parks. And OKC is definitely holding its own. We've got places like Scissortail Park, the Myriad Botanical Gardens downtown. We've got Martin Park Nature Center, and one of my favorite places to go, Lake Hefner. All in all, OKC boasts around 170 parks. Now, Dallas is no slouch here, and much bigger than either of those cities, so it's no surprise that they have almost 400 parks. And those parks include places like White Rock Lake and Clyde Warren Park and Harwood Park, among many others. So again, given the size, not surprising Dallas has a ton of parks, but we gotta give them their props. All right, let's not sugarcoat it. If you've ever driven in Dallas traffic is trash. It's honestly a part of the identity. And by part of the identity, when you drive into Texas, it says, drive friendly the Texas way. I think they all forget that once you drive into Dallas. Now, Tulsa and OKC can definitely feel like a breeze by comparison, but if you've lived here your whole life, you're definitely noticing that there's more traffic than there used to be. But again, with Tulsa and Oklahoma City, compared to most major cities, traffic's gonna feel pretty easy. I mean, sure, you've got rush hour, which can be a little bit congested, but it's not gonna make you reconsider your entire life like you will in Dallas. Why did I ever ask out Sarah in the 9th grade? My life would be totally different. All that said, both cities in Oklahoma are super drivable. Parking's easy, commuting in general is pretty laid back. So if you ever do get stuck in traffic, it's most likely a wreck, or if you're on the outskirts of town, it might be a cow or a deer, but honestly, that's just part of the charm. Now, speaking of roads, if you want to see the new developments and exactly where Oklahoma City is heading, you should definitely check out this video right here. And as always, guys, until next time, I certainly hope to okay. See you soon. See ya.